I'm Scott Baker. I'm Professor of Fisheries and Wildlife at Oregon State University and Associate Director of the Marine Mammal Institute here at Hatfield Marine Science Center. My interest is in using genetic methods to study populations of whales and dolphins. We have an interest in the history of these species because of human exploitation, but also their natural distributions around the world, even their species identity, which is not always known with certainty, and the degree of genetic diversity that these populations, each of the populations retains. I've been working on identifying species of whales and dolphins sold in Japanese and Korean markets for the last 16 years. And this work came out of concern that protected species of whales and dolphins were being sold along with the species that are reported to be taken primarily as part of the Japanese scientific whaling program. But the early work showed that there was some level of protected whales that were making their way onto the market, and the source of those wasn't well understood. One of the most interesting things that's happened in the last few months was the apparent availability of whale meat sold at a sushi restaurant here in the United States. And that revelation essentially came out through a small undercover operation by one of the filmmakers involved in the Cove. So Charles Hamilton, who had worked with us in Japan when we were over there with the team filming in our hotel room, had personal information that led him to think this restaurant was selling whale meat. And he was able to go along with some friends, one of whom was a native Japanese speaker, and talk with this sushi chef and purchase what appeared to be whale meat as well as what was sold as horse meat. And he called us up and asked if we could identify this for him. And I said, sure. Thinking really that this was probably not legitimate. Not legitimate in the sense that it was probably not really whale meat. But to our surprise, he sent up 4 pieces of meat. He didn't label them, but he had told us 2 of those were purchased as horse and 2 were purchased as whale. And to our surprise, the 2 of them turned out to be cow, which we assumed were the ones, in fact, that were sold as horse. But the 2 that were sold as whale were in fact whale, and they were products from the species referred to, commonly known as sei whale. And that's a species that under U.S. Endangered Species Act and Marine Mammal Protection Act is considered endangered. But it is a species that's taken by the Japanese scientific whaling program in the North Pacific.